What is up, everyone? It is Todd, Bookspan, the founder of Win by Noon, and welcome to another Monday weekly Win by Noon webinar. The webinar is designed to help you be more productive. And joining me along on this journey today is none other than the CEO and founder of Plug and Play SM for social media, Deborah Byrd. What is up, Deborah?
What? Happy Monday. Hey, it's the last Monday, actually, of April.
Is it already?
Yes, last week of April, this week.
That is exciting. That is really exciting. I hadn't thought about that, but you're always one step ahead of me.
You know why? Because I was writing content for today's caption of Win by Noon.
Look at you. See, you're always one step ahead. So I love that. So you're all here. This call is about you. If you have questions, let us know. Our goal is to be timely at 30 minutes today. None other reason than selfishly, I'm teaching right after that my monthly webinar I teach to a financial planning organization. And I'm very excited about that, but I will, that'll give me enough time to run through my slides one more time and make sure that I'm brilliant for the 90 minutes that I have scheduled with them. And really just wanted to do a continuation of what we did last week, which really talk about what we see getting in people's way. But I'm going to put Deborah on the spot. Deborah just spent a couple of days with a good friend of ours, Cindy Ertman, who runs a mastermind out in California. So let me hear what was your number one takeaway from hanging out with 20 badass loan officers, Cindy and Jeremy Forcier.
That no matter the team size, with how many assistants you have, production partners, and nor how long you've been doing it. You could have been doing business for 20 years or 1 year. At the end of the day, what most people struggle with are still the same thing. And it's just creating the micro habit or decision each morning to do the Win by Noon activities and sticking to those activities, because we know that with time, those activities are proven to pay off. It's just, why do we then choose to do something else when we know we should make calls? And so the biggest aha that I had was when Jeremy Forcier spoke about, he was not coaching, because he says he doesn't coach real estate agents, but he said he got really tired of real estate agents constantly complaining about inventory, just inventory. He's like, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I kind of had a panic manic moment. And he said, well, whose fault is that? Like, whose fault is that the inventory is where it's at today? And although we can't control our circumstances, what we can control is what we choose to do in spite of circumstance. So he asked them point blank, he said, how many quality conversations did you have today? And then he said, okay, if you only had 2, then how many attempts of calls did you make? And he was like, if you didn't attempt to try to call at least 80, then there's a problem right there. And, he centered it around, how many, door knocks did you do last week? How many CMAs did you drop off on your past clients' doorsteps? Like, what activities are you doing that we all know to do, but we just don't do? And then quit bitching basically about inventory when you're not doing your part to help create inventory. So either complain about the problem or be about the solution. And that's when you then had them take accountability and responsibility instead of blaming the market. Choose what micro habits you're going to do differently this week. And when are you going to get them done? How many calls are you going to make? And do you actually have it planned out in your calendar?
I love when people take responsibility. So I'm laughing. I got it's homework day, right? Homework's due at noon from my operating system group. And I had a person like, this is the transparency that I love. He said, I reviewed my past week and did not perform the goals as I had promised. He said, I failed to make the calls by allowing some challenging loans in process and a few other instances take over time needed. This week, I vow to not block time or do whatever it takes to complete the action plan. He says must be to block time. But I think that's it, right? You have to take responsibility for yourself. So I love it that Jeremy would say that. And I think the challenge oftentimes is not looking in the mirror at ourselves. And, this call, I'm guessing if I looked, 80% of you are loan officers and then there'll be 20% of you that'll be real estate agents watching this. And, I think that it's a challenge for a loan officer. So if you're a loan officer, I'm talking to you. And if you're a real estate agent, I'm talking to you as your loan officer referral partner. It's a challenge to actually have that kind of conversation. You have to have confidence to do that. And if you know Jeremy at all, you know that he's a very confident person. And I think you should all have that same level of confidence. You can come at it from a different angle of Jeremy. Jeremy's going to be right in their face because Jeremy's built rapport with them, and he's going to ask them, right? You can be the solution or you can be part of the problem. And my encouragement for you would be, again, same questioning, right? And then again, this could be for you yourself, or it could be for your referral partner, right? How many quality conversations have you had so far today? And the question is that if it's not a lot, then the question is, how many people have you called? And I feel like that's where, we all make excuses. Like I'll tell you, this morning, I, started work at 9, but I got a call from the guy who's installing the burglar alarm in our new house. So I had to take the call because it's urgent and timely. They're coming in 2 days. And if I don't finish whatever this, call from the, big brother that says I have to authorize that I told him I would really do what I'm doing. They're freaked out because I'm paying for 24 months up front of my servicing, because I won't let them pull my credit. And they tried to do a soft pull and, without my social security number, and they can't, because I blocked everything through that opt-out pre-screen, they can't get any information on my wife or I, and I don't really care. I got a really high credit score, but I'm just a jerk. I just fight people on stuff like that. But the point of my story was, he said, Todd, it's going to take no more than 3 minutes, maybe 5 tops, that they will call you. So what am I doing? I'm sitting on the couch and I get out my phone and I'm like, all right, let me see what emails I have to respond to, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it's 20 after, and I realize I'm on Facebook for like 18 minutes and the people haven't called. So I was like super frustrated with myself. And I said, all right, I'm going to go. I'm working at home today, so I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to jump on my computer and get to work. And then literally at that moment, the people called me. And so we all fall into that hole. But then the question is how do you respond after you do it? And so, so for me, I just came up here and I got my butt dialing, right? I knew not a butt dial, but I actually just got myself to dial. And so I think that's really the solution, is look at your own numbers, right? Ask the people around you their numbers, but ask in a way that, you don't have to be confrontational. And then I think if you call people out, people are your friends and want to be called out. There's no reason you can't. Like I'd call out Deborah if she wasn't doing something right.
Well, you did call me yesterday and I didn't answer.
That was a butt dial, actually.
Oh, okay, good. Well,
yeah, you know what? Because you know what it was, is I was hitting like something. I hang up on something, and then it didn't hang up the first time, so I hit it again and again, and then I realized that the second time it hung up, and then the other thing is it called you because I'd called you recently. So that was embarrassing.
Well, what it reminded me, not yesterday's call when you butt dialed me, but when Jeremy was talking, some of the loan officers had mentioned, it can be kind of awkward when maybe you haven't been calling your database or your partners as often as you should be, or what you typically would do, because the last 2 years were so chaotic, and a lot of them were like, we were in survival mode. Volume was as intense as it's ever been. And when you're hiring new people on and training, or you're firing, it can be, they really neglected on the calls because it was kind of survival and fit at that point. So one of the things that a few of them had asked is, how do you get back in that practice where you have to get over that awkwardness? And of course, I mentioned start with liking and commenting and kind of flirting a little bit on social. Otherwise, what it can feel like is the booty call. And so I said, don't booty call your agent where you haven't talked to them, you haven't reached out to them, and then all of a sudden you're calling, and it can feel, as if you did kind of drop the ball. But, depending on your relationship, you could have had deals with them along the way, and so they know you guys were both busy throughout these record low.
So I love that. So you're saying go on social media, and then that will be a way to lessen and interact with them there. And then that way they feel like they don't miss you. So I think that's like my new go-to suggestion, because what I would have said is just pick up the phone and call them. And then what I tend to find is that I always have that guilt, like I haven't talked to you, but oftentimes they're like, oh my gosh, Todd, I'm so sorry I haven't called you. So number one is they might be thinking the same thing. Or they could be thinking just what you said, Deborah, which is that, hey, Todd's not doing refinances anymore. He's got tons of time. He can call me now. And in that case, you could just say, gosh, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize how long it had been since I had reached out, right? I mean, that just goes a long way. Gosh, I cannot believe I have not talked to you in 2 years. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe. And then the fatal mistake is if they're like, well, how you doing? You're like, I'm just dead slow. I got nothing else going on. Don't say that. Like say, right. Oh gosh, everything is going awesome, right? Never say I'm busy, right? I had so many people who during COVID with all those loans falling down were saying, oh, I'm super busy. And then people hear, oh, too busy to help me, right? So don't say that, but you don't want to say the opposite, right? If you haven't called them and you're like, oh yeah, I'm just desperate now for loans, so I'm calling you, then that's kind of that's bad. And that's the opposite.
Well, I think what's easy with social, it can be, I tend to always start with the personal post. So if you're maybe an agent on the call and you see one of your past clients who maybe is either having a kid, getting married, they have a picture with, maybe they went to a basketball game, whatever it is, that is a really easy way. And direct messaging is preferred just because it makes it look, it feels like you're having a conversation where it's not as intense as maybe text. But when you comment and you make it about them, I had a coach once tell me, the more you get them to talk, then the more they consider you a genius. Sometimes it's just letting other people talk more and make it about something personal that you've noticed about them, and you just let them talk. And then you just keep you just want to keep a conversation going. And then maybe you could go in for the, hey, in case you're ever wondering how much your home is worth, I'm actually doing CMAs for clients and property taxes, whatever it could be. Let me know if you're interested. I'd be happy to run one for you.
I think that you just nailed it there. I think the number one thing would be to, would be to, engage and do just that. I just, again, I feel like we all just get in our own heads and are really nervous about how to do all those things. I loved it because you said, when you're like DM somebody, I'm like, remind me, wait, DM is on, which one's on Facebook and which one's PM, which one's DM?
Private message is Facebook. DM is Instagram. Direct message. So either one. Direct, especially if they post a story, it's always easy when it's the people who are on social media. And in case you guys don't know this on the call, you can separate, like both Instagram and Facebook now have a way where you can click your view and change it to favorites. And so like I have Todd as a favorite. So I could just click to my favorite.
I'm that special? Let me look at that.
You won't be able to see it. It's private. So only when I go on.
But I can go on there and set my favorites on here.
Yes. And then if you only want to see posts from your favorite, that makes it a lot easier to like and comment. So if you, let me see how to do it on mobile. Go to find me on social. So just click in Deborah Byrd for you.
All right. So I'm looking up Deborah Byrd. This is how we train here on the Win by Noon calls.
So when you guys go, you're going to see there's the little 3 dots. You're going to click the 3 dots that are, because we're already friends.
Oh, you're in Facebook. I'm in the, oh no, oh, there we go. Move follower. All right, I'm in Instagram. I'm in the wrong one. So I got to go back to your, oh, that's really weird. That's kind of embarrassing. I'm not following Deborah Byrd, it says. Is that possible?
On Facebook?
On Instagram.
You're not following?
I don't know. It said I could follow you. That was really weird. How's that possible? I wasn't following you. Oh, no, I'm following you. It says follow back. I already clicked that. Following. Follow back. All right, there we go. No, never mind. I guess I was already following you. Oh, yeah, look at that. Add to close friends list.
But there's also a favorite. So you see where the star is? First of all, on Facebook, just so you know, you can segment your friends in any category you want. So for our influencer clients, we will ask for their prospecting list, which is very telling for those who actually have a prospecting list, where we'll take your top A, B, C groups, and you can actually put them in groups, that's where your favorite list is different than having specified list of your friends. For example, Todd, say you were to put, if this were your like financial advisor group that and I'm not talking about Facebook groups, I'm talking if they were friends on your Facebook, you could move them by clicking those 3 dots, and you can say add to list, and you have a custom list that says financial advisors. Then every post you make, say you only want them to see it, you could change your view and only they would see that post.
So I got to create some lists then, is what I'm hearing you say.
Unless you just add, so that's what I'm going to go back to. If I pull up, let's see, I'll pull up Jordan Byrd. Actually, he's added, so odd. Okay, see where it says, can you see this? You guys can't see my screen. You just click the star. Can you see that? See where it says favorite?
Yeah, I see that star right there.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll record a video of how to do this and send it, put it in the Win by Noon productivity.
That is
Facebook
awesome.
group. So if any of you, all of you listening, make sure you're in that Win by Noon group on Facebook. And I'll put a little video tutorial of how to do this. That may be easier than trying to show my screen.
That is really smart. That is really, I got distracted because you sent me to Facebook, and then I looked there and someone's like, hey, what's the date of the Modern Mortgage and Modern Real Estate Summit? So if you guys have not seen it yet, we've moved it to June 8th. Apologize. It was not my doing, but it's moved. So just be on the lookout for that. I'm going to switch my cover photo real quick while we're doing that. So it's now on June 8th. So be prepared. For those of you who have tickets, you should be getting a notification if you already bought tickets. And then now if you go to the website, it just show the new date. All right, now I'm back laser focused. See, look, oh, there's a bird. Just kills me.
So I just want everyone to know there's ways that you can put people in different lists. And then if you want your top 30, which that is the only catch with the favorites group on Facebook, is you can only have 30 people in there. But then when you go to your feed, you can literally say, do I want my feed to go on just normal feed, or do I want to put favorites? And when I go to favorites, it makes it super easy to like and comment.
What about on the list? If you have people on a regular list, is it easy to sort that when you want to just comment on them?
Very easy.
All right, I'm going to do
that.
I watch your video on it.
Okay, I'll record the video for the difference between creating the list and creating. Todd, you just send me who you want and we'll do it for you.
Well, I understand that because I'm a client times 2, but
yeah.
But nonetheless, I don't really like people. Just kidding. I have to think about that one. I do have I don't really, because of what I do, I don't really have a prospect list, but maybe let me think on that one. I will think about who I should have you harass, and then we can kind of go from there. All right. So we've solved a couple of problems for everyone. Number one is if you're not having enough conversations, make more calls. So that was pretty good. Number two is if you haven't talked to people in a while and you're feeling call reluctance and you don't want to call up and just say, hey, checking in with you, then do a little liking and commenting on their Facebook so that you can kind of feel what's going on. I laugh. So I mentioned I'm teaching these financial advisors, and most Mondays I've been going to this realtor luncheon that's followed by a leader friend of mine. I decided not to go today because I had other commitments. Again, sometimes you have to say, give up the good for the great. But normally I sit down there, and then this guy who runs the financial planning organization, he goes about half the time, but he's really good. He's like, Todd, how was the Suns game last night? Hey, Todd, like he knows, I can tell he's paying attention. So maybe he's got a list like Deborah talked about. And that's why I'm so good, is because why he's so good at that, because he's already doing these things. But nonetheless, it makes me feel good, right? So it'll make other people feel good when you call them up and you're like, hey, friend, it's been too long since I talked to you. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited that your daughter got into, Columbia for college.
Well, it's just being intentional with your time. And when you said, getting on Facebook or Instagram, any of them where you can go down that dark hole, it's like, are you being intentional with those who you want to be? And maybe that's just showing love to past clients or referral sources that are sending you business. And maybe you mix it up, and the next month you focus more on those who you want to be getting business from. Or just being more intentional with if you're in your learning time, because you can use social for educational reasons. And so maybe those accounts are so that you don't go into the dark hole, and that if you're in learning zone and you're consuming content to either repurpose or whatever, then you can be more cautious of how you're spending your time and being intentional with the limiting the distractions that can sometimes come up.
Well, and a lot of that too, I see a lot of people in here who are part of my operating system 2.0 group. And I know from a lot of you turned in your homework, and maybe a couple of you, I won't look at anyone in the eyes, won't make eye contact, didn't turn in your homework for the time tracking. And that's really the way that you kind of catch yourself if you're getting distracted, is the painful task of tracking what you did during that time. And so for me, because I do it all the time, typically 2 to 4 times a year, I'm pretty good at knowing what's going on in my time. Like for me, when I sit there on the couch, like I admitted this morning, and in 15, 20 minutes has come by, like my body just, like the light bulb goes off of, hey, this just feels wrong. And I jump out of it. But, you could sit there and I could beat myself up over it. I could be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did it. Or I could just do what I did and say, okay, back to work. And I think that's where oftentimes people live in that past of regret and beat themselves up over it. And in the end, you can't do that. All you can do is change what you're going to do right now going forward. I'm going to find this picture now that Tara Hart was nice enough to laugh about my not liking people. I thought this was an interesting, I take a picture when I go to the coffee place of they have one of those really cool boards that has these quotes. And they're typically, I agree with most of their quotes. Like this one says, the happiest people don't have the best of everything. They just make the best of everything, which I like that one. But then they had this other one, and let me see if I can find it, because it didn't make any sense to me. And nonetheless, I took a picture of it because maybe there's someone that's smarter than me, but I think it plays along the line of I don't like people. If I can find it, let's just see here. Nope. All right, you make small talk, Deborah, while I do this.
I'm going to post this link. Let's see. I'm going to put this right now in our chat. This is for
maybe I didn't take a picture of it. It's basically was something like that. Something like your cat won't even text you. I was like, well, gosh, if I had a cat, maybe that's why I just didn't take it. Because I don't see the quote. I thought it was pretty recent.
Okay, so to everybody who is on, I just put in the chat a link of how to create and even edit your favorites list in Facebook, and I'll pull one.
You just recorded that while we were on this call together?
No, I'm just posting a link. Those of you who want like printed out steps. All
right, I'm going to cut and paste that. So if I get around to putting up our last 3 weeks of videos I haven't posted yet, then I'll have that in there. So this is about.
And then I just posted one for Facebook on how to do it. But I'll also do a video recording so that
you don't have to now. We can just put this thing on it. All right, man, we are just off on a tangent, but that's good. That's good. I'm back. I won't look for that picture. If I find my cat picture, I'll post it.
With nurturing relationships and commenting on, just being intentional. So my biggest takeaway is use your planner and go ahead and plan out. So your homework on the call would be, who are you going to put Tuesday through Friday, of which contacts, because again, we're trying to create that habit, the daily activity of making the calls, because you can't control who answers the phone, but you can control your attempts. So when you're making that list, maybe the day before, what you do to kind of flirt a little bit is you find them on social and you like, or you comment, or you DM. And even you could say something like, hey, I'll call you, or I'll give you a quick call on Thursday. I have an idea for you. So that way when you call Thursday, it doesn't feel so awkward.
But they're excited for your call. How long will it take me to set up my list? Do I need more than 30 minutes?
No. Remember, your favorites, you can only have 30 people in there. But for categorizing your current friends, you could do that 30 minutes, a week. Make that part of your social media strategy.
There you go. I just put it out there. When are you going to commit 30 minutes to set up your lists on social? So again, that means you just have to look at your week. The good news, it's a Monday. You have lots of time left this week that you can do it. And I don't think it's a bad idea if you committed 30 minutes during the work week, during the work day, but I would suggest, as you know, do it in the afternoon. Do it kind of when your brain is on lower speed. Do it after you've done all your most important things. What I don't want you to do is start doing it at 8:30 when you get to the office. And then instead of being done at 9 o'clock, and then you work on it till 11, you're like, oh, guess I can't make my calls today because Todd and Deborah made me do this and I got distracted. So maybe do it at like 4 o'clock tomorrow or Thursday or whenever you can schedule it in there. But I think that's the biggest part about it. I mean, like you guys all know I'm a nerd with it, but my calendar is already done. I did this 2 weeks ago because I already knew I was doing a lot, because I'm going to New Orleans this weekend for Jazz Fest. 13 stages of live music, all going at once. Wow. I was shocked, just so you know, the Who is playing. I actually went to the last Hoorah. It was supposed to be their last concert tour ever, like 20 years ago. And who knew it? They're still out touring. It's crazy. Imagine
that was like this. I spent like extra money to go see Kiss backstage because it was their last tour. And sure enough, it's not their last one.
Yep. That's all good. I'm gonna see Lionel Richie too, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and then a bunch of bands I've never heard of.
Ooh, I want to see Lionel Richie.
I'm actually kind of excited about that. But sadly, I'm seeing the Red Hot Chili Peppers because they were supposed to be the Foo Fighters, and they had to cancel their tour because their drummer.
Well, it doesn't happen unless you post about it. We'll be expecting some good footage.
All right, I could do that. I'm going to be there. It'll be kind of fun. It was my I don't have a bucket list, but if I did, it was always going to Jazz Fest with my brothers, because my older brother's gone every year for 20 years. And then my younger brother's gone a few times. And then my older brother gets mad because he's like, you gonna go this year? I'm like, no, my younger brother's not going. I want to go with both of them when I go. So we are.
So are your main hobbies then running? I know you like beer, different types of beer, watching the Suns. And
well,
music?
I don't know if I call, so drinking beer has become less because I just don't drink as much beer anymore. It's very sad, but my doctor says not to drink it. And ironically, when you stop drinking it, you don't actually feel as good when you drink it. I don't watch a ton of live music. I just do with my family, seems to be it. I love the Suns. I have half of season tickets. I love the Arizona Cardinals, and the Philadelphia Eagles are really my favorite team. I got season tickets there. I go to musical theater. So we went to, if anyone saw my thing, I went to see Hadestown last night at Gamage with Giselle. We had date night. We have season tickets there. And then I'm a pretty boring person. I just think about how I can help you all be more productive.
50 though, I'm asking because those of you on this call, these are great things to think about when you're creating your own social strategy feed for the month or week. Is you want to make sure you include, the only reason why I knew some of those things about Todd is because he does post about them. So it gives us some insight to who he is beyond just the productivity coach. So
I'm going to ask this question again because no one answered my question yet. When are you going to commit to 30 minutes? There you go. And
the link just above that is the one of how to organize your friends into the list.
All right, I put that on there. I got that for the YouTubers. All right, so let's take these last couple of minutes and let's make it actionable. And so go back to this whole idea of where we started was, hey, what did you learn last weekend, Deborah, at this event? You said Jeremy Forsythe said he's talking to real estate agents about the fact that they didn't talk to enough people, have enough quality conversations. And then he says that's because you're not calling enough people. So again, look in the mirror. Are you having enough conversations and calling enough people? Number one. Number two is if you're a real estate agent or you're a loan officer, think about your referral partner on the other side and then ask them the same thing and give them some encouragement. And it's not that hard to think about who to call. Go to Facebook, look at your friends and family on there, because if you're a realtor, the 1 in 10 or 1 in 7, whoever statistic you believe are going to be buying or selling a house in this next 12 months. And they have friends who are going to buy or sell houses in the next 12 months. So you're going to call them and connect with them. And Deborah gave us, to me, the easy button of the world, which is start liking and commenting on their stuff and then pick up the phone and call them and say, oh my gosh, what Deborah said, even tell them, hey, I got a great idea. I'll call you on Thursday. So that's even better. Set up that anticipation, because they'll be like, no, I want that great idea now. And then you have the opportunity is to then you also know what's going on in their life. So even though you haven't talked to them in a year or 2 years or 3 years, you can say, oh gosh, it's so great to see, you out there on the soccer field with your kids or whatever that is. And then lastly is set up these lists and favorites in Instagram and Facebook to make your life easier. And Deborah just gave us all the links, and I'm challenging you all who are all ignoring me and not saying over in the chat when you're going to commit to do it. So again, I want you to commit to somebody. If you commit to Deborah and I, then again, you were trying to commit, like get it in the calendar. If you've got time to do it, you don't have time to do it unless you make time to do it. All right, Deborah, put a bow on it. What are you going to say?
Just be you on social. Don't forget to not only consume the content when you're making the list. Sometimes we're really good at being consumers, but also be creators. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Done is better than perfect. And if it's easier, include things like your hobbies so that you humanize who you are, and that when you become more human, people tend to like and trust those who are more like them. So if you're crazy, hide your crazy a bit. Just kidding. But don't forget to also be a human and just post things on your stories, on your feed of what else you are about besides just mortgage or real estate.
I'm laughing if you're crazy. All right. We're all crazy. That's why we're here. Whoever watches this probably is crazy. All this, we all great minds, crazy like cats all hang out together. So as always, I am hopeful that you got value for it. You all stood on till the end. So that tells me that you did. And all right, we got one last quick question. Do you have a separate biz versus own pages to separate business versus own pages?
So this is on your personal Facebook profile that you're creating these lists, because you're organizing your friends into categories, and you can have as many lists as you want. Like if you want this KW office here and this Remax office here, these people who bought a home in 2011, whatever. You can have as many lists, but that's all done through your Facebook profile, which is not a business page. If you're asking, do you need a business page? Yes. I still tell everybody, you still need a business page, even though no one's going to like and follow it. It's okay. That's the only way you can run ads and you can get reviews. And it's still the storefront to make sure your lights are on in your building in today's buildings of the digital space. So hopefully that answers the question.
All right. See, we were just putting a bow on it. We got a great last minute question. So as always, like I said, I appreciate you all taking the time to be here. I appreciate you, Deborah, for making this call way better than it would be with me talking the whole time. And just go out there and be productive. You spent 30 minutes of your time watching this live or watching this on YouTube. And the bottom line is, as you invest the time, now make it pay off. We'll see you guys next week. Appreciate y'all.
Bye.